57 people applied to be Fort Pierce's next police chief. After months of vetting, 3 made the final cut. None of them are the candidates some commissioners wanted, though. So what happens now?
The city summarily dismissed not 1, not 2, but all 3 local candidates, and only those candidates, after a single interview.
December 1st at 5:05 p.m., the Fort Pierce City Commission meeting is already underway when something unexpected happens. Commissioner Michael Broderick adds in an item to the agenda, the police chief search.
Mayor, I'd like to make an addition to the agenda.
Okay.
I would like to get an update on the police chief search, and I have some questions pertaining to that I think we can address if we get that as an agenda item this evening.
Within minutes, 15 people line up to speak. Most have the same message: bring back the local candidates. Specifically, bring back Acting Deputy Chief Caleb Gillette.
The community has spoken, the police union has spoken, and the city hasn't listened. We want a police chief from this community, for this community.
And Commissioner Broderick, he makes his case.
Included, at least given an opportunity to present his case to the city commission, which I think he certainly deserves after serving 24 years in the department. He's given his entire career to the city of Fort Pierce.
But Commissioner Arnold Gaines isn't having it.
Concerns with what just happened tonight. We added an agenda item and we left out half of the residents of Fort Pierce.
The room is tense and the arguments get heated. 2 folks on the board want Gillette added to the finalists, and 2 say follow the charter, follow the process.
The city manager hires and fires that employee. We have 3 employees up here: city manager, city attorney, and the clerk.
And no vote is taken. The commission is deadlocked 2-2. The meet and greet with the 3 finalists proceeds as scheduled. But the question hangs in the air. How did we get here? A quick note, before we get into this story, I want to be clear about something. I've dug as deep as possible with all the power and resources that I have to get to the bottom of what happened here. There are some things in this story that some people aren't aware of. There's others that maybe are, but my goal is to provide all the context possible so you can understand what's really going on. So, back in October, I reported that City Manager Richard Chess had the authority to select the police chief. Under Fort Pierce City's charter, the city manager makes the hire with commission approval, and that's just kind of how it works. But here's the context you need. In August 2024, Fort Pierce City Manager Nick Mims was arrested for bid tampering and official misconduct. Mims had been with the city since around 1998.
We are following big breaking news from the Treasure Coast.
We are learning Fort Pierce City Manager Nick Mims has been arrested.
The reason why I bring this up, Richard Chess was hired in February 2025 to replace Mims and clean up the so-called mess. So my best guess when commissioners talk about process, about the charter, about transparency, there's a recent history that seems to be behind that. The police chief search is Chess' first major hiring decision, and it's the first time commissioners have publicly tested their trust with him. In early November, the city announced a short list of 7 candidates. 3 were local: Fort Pierce Police Major Eric Chan, Acting Deputy Chief Caleb Gillette, and St. Lucie County Deputy Sheriff Milo Thornton. 4 were from out of the state. And on October 29th, the Fort Pierce Police Officers Union publicly endorsed Caleb Gillette for the position. But then, in late October, the list got cut to 3. All 3 locals were eliminated. And that's where everything seemed to explode.
In less than 2 weeks, Fort Pierce will select a new top cop, and the city has narrowed its search to 3 finalists for the new police chief, all from out of state.
But here's what most people didn't know about Monday night. And this is where I really started to dig in and try to figure out what's occurring. The interview committee included former police chief leadership, people who know the department inside and out, people who've led officers who understand what this job requires. None of the local candidates made it through that committee process. And the search firm handling the recruitment, S. Renee Narlock and Associates, has serious credentials. They hired Port St. Lucie City Attorney. They were hired to find St. Lucie County's attorney. So this doesn't seem like a fly-by-night operation by any means. They've done executive searches all over Florida and all over the country. So if the committee didn't advance the local candidates and the search firm didn't advance them, Why all the pressure to add Gillette back in? Monday night, commissioners heard from Gillette's mother, from retired officers, from the police union that endorsed him, from community members who've known him his whole life. And he was added back in because the support is real, the emotion is real, and the love for him, it seems genuine.
It is no surprise to anyone that I believe Deputy Chief Caleb Gillette to be the best candidate for Chief of Police, because I've witnessed the development of his character and his capabilities for the last 48 years.
But Commissioner Gaines says something that got lost in all the noise. He said he's heard from current officers who won't come forward publicly, who have concerns, officers who are afraid of retaliation. And that raises a question. What's really going on inside the Fort Pierce Police Department?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I don't like giving this answer, but my answer is that this is a decision by the city manager. I don't believe that a motion to force him through this process would be appropriate. He is capable of deciding how he wants to proceed forward.
So here's the tension that Fort Pierce is facing right now. On one side, the city charter says the city manager hires the police chief. The commission approves or denies. And Richard Chess followed that process. He used a credible search firm. He had a committee that included people who know Fort Pierce policing, and they delivered 3 candidates. On the other side, though, the community is speaking loud and they're speaking clear. The police union endorsed Caleb Gillette. 15 people showed up on Monday night. The support is overwhelming. And 2 people, Mayor Hudson and Commissioner Broderick, are asking, shouldn't the public's voice matter in a decision this big? And my take, both of these things can be true at the same time. The charter exists for a reason, though. Process protects against corruption. Process protects against favoritism. Process ensures decisions are based on qualifications and not popularity. But process can't ignore what a community actually needs. If the people who live here, work here, police here are saying, we want this guy, does the charter override that? Should it? If commissioners vote no on December 8th because they want Gillette, they're not breaking the law. The charter gives them approval power. But they're setting a bit of a precedent. Public pressure can override the city manager's hiring decision. If commissioners vote yes on someone the community doesn't want, they're following the charter. But they're telling a piece of Fort Pierce, your voice doesn't matter as much in this process. And there's no clean answer here. And this is the cost of what looks like to be local democracy. Sometimes the rules and the will of the people point in different directions. So, what happens if the commissioners vote no? The process starts over. Another $25,000 to the search firm, another several months, and Caleb Gillette still probably wouldn't make the cut because the same committee and the same search firm will be doing the same evaluation. And the city has already spent nearly $100,000 on the special election that turned into a runoff. Now, we're talking about a potential another $25,000 on a police chief search do-over. And some commissioners want to wait until the new commissioner is sworn in.
Swearing in of our new commissioner will be on February the 2nd. I keep hearing January 20th thrown around, and it's going to be February the 2nd is our swearing.
So Fort Pierce could go months without a permanent chief. The interim chief is planning to retire, and the department that's already been through a lot continues to wait.
If we all agreed, then we wouldn't need lawyers, right? So there's always going to be a disagreement, and there's always going to be a different interpretation of what things are. There's always going to be promote from within, hire from outside. This is nothing new.
Tonight, the public meets the 3 finalists: Vernon Hale from Maryland, Murtha Ramos from Georgia, and David Smith from Virginia. All 3 have serious law enforcement experience, so it seems. All 3 are strangers to Fort Pierce. Wednesday, commissioners interview them one-on-one. Then city manager Richard Chess, he makes his final recommendation on December 8th. And that's when the real vote matters. That's when the real vote happens. And with only 4 commissioners, a 2-2 tie means the recommendation fails. December 8th, Fort Pierce commissioners will vote. They'll either trust the process or they'll demand something different. Either way, this decision will define how Fort Pierce governs itself moving forward. The question isn't just who becomes police chief. The question is, when the charter and the community disagree, which one wins? I'll see you soon.